7 names, 1 global revolution, and a legacy that has permanently altered the landscape of modern music. BTS is more than just a group. They are a masterclass in artistry. But what do the world's most elite music producers, the legendary ears behind the industry's biggest hits, really think when the cameras stop rolling? Today, we are diving deep into a ranking that strips away the fandom and focuses on the raw, technical, and creative power of each member. Who holds the secret key to their sonic identity? Whose talent is so overwhelming it changes the very industry itself? Buckle up, because the journey to number 1 is about to begin. Are you ready for the truth?
Number 7. Jin, the silver voice that defies logic, pure emotional resonance, the hidden architect of ballads. When you step into the high-pressure environment of a world-class recording studio, the kind where every breath is scrutinized by million-dollar equipment, you begin to understand that talent isn't just about what you were born with, but how you've sculpted your soul into a sonic weapon. And that is exactly why global music producers consistently point toward Kim's second Jin as one of the most fascinating enigmas in the industry today. To the casual listener, he is the worldwide handsome visual of BTS, but to the architects of sound, Jin is known as the Silver Voice, a title that carries heavy weight in professional circles because it refers to a vocal tone that is crystalline, piercingly clear, and capable of cutting through the densest of musical arrangements without ever losing its innate warmth or emotional vulnerability. Think about the sheer audacity of his journey. A young man who entered the legendary training halls of Big Hit with zero background in music or dance, essentially a blank canvas in an industry that demands pre-packaged perfection, yet he managed to transform himself into a vocalist whose stability is now the gold standard for live performances. Producers often marvel at the way Jin handles the bridge of a song, which is arguably the most critical and difficult section of any pop anthem, because he possesses a rare ability to build tension and then release it with a belt that sounds both desperate and triumphant, a technique that requires immense lung capacity and precise control of the diaphragm. When you listen to a track like Epiphany or Awake, you are just hearing a man sing. You are witnessing a masterclass in narrative vocalizing, where he uses his chest voice to ground the listener in reality before ascending into a soaring head voice that feels like it's reaching for the stars themselves. Critics and producers alike have noted that Jin's voice has a unique vibrato that isn't artificial or forced, but rather a natural tremor that conveys a deep sense of longing, making him the go-to member for the emotional climax of BTS's discography. Beyond the technicalities, there is the legendary work ethic that has become a thing of myth among the staff who have worked with him. Stories of Jin staying behind for hours after a recording session just to perfect a single syllable, showing a level of dedication that most seasoned veterans would find exhausting. He doesn't just sing the notes on the page, he deconstructs the melody, understands the frequency of the instruments surrounding him, and finds the exact pocket where his voice can shine without overshadowing the group's harmony. Producers have highlighted that in The Astronaut, his collaboration with Coldplay, Jin displayed a British pop sensibility that few K-pop idols could replicate, proving that his vocal identity is fluid and incredibly adaptive to different genres, from rock ballads to synth pop. This adaptability is his secret weapon. He is the emotional glue that holds the high-energy tracks of BTS together, providing a moment of raw, human connection amidst the complex rap verses and heavy EDM beats. Have you ever wondered why his high notes in Crystal Snow or Dionysus feel so piercingly real compared to the polished, auto-tuned sounds we often hear in modern pop? It's because Jin understands that perfection isn't the goal, connection is. He treats his vocal cords like a physical instrument, practicing belting techniques that allow him to maintain power even while performing some of the most grueling choreography in the world, a feat that leaves even the most experienced tour producers in awe of his stamina. His growth isn't just a linear line, it's an exponential explosion of skill that has forced the industry to rethink what it means to be a visual in a group, because he has proven that your starting point does not define your ceiling. There is a specific ping in his voice, a resonant frequency that producers love because it requires very little post-production processing, a rare one-take quality that saves time in the studio, but more importantly, preserves the soul of the performance. When a producer sits at the mixing desk and pulls up Jin's vocal stems, they often find a purity of tone that is almost impossible to teach. It's a mixture of his physical anatomy and his psychological approach to storytelling through song. He approaches a lyric like an actor approaches a script, looking for the subtext, the hidden pain, and the quiet joys, which is why his solo tracks resonate so deeply on a global scale, transcending language barriers through the sheer power of his delivery. He is the member who proves that the human voice is the most powerful instrument in existence. And as we move further up this list, the technical demands only become more insane. But let's stop and reflect for a moment. Could you imagine the sonic landscape of BTS without that silver voice holding the emotional fort? How does a man with no initial musical training become the vocal pillar of the world's biggest band? The answer lies in the sweat, the silent tears in the vocal booth, and a level of grit that defies the very laws of the industry. As we prepare to move to number 6, ask yourself, if the bottom of our list starts with this level of world-class excellence, just how high does the ceiling actually go? And which member is currently being studied by producers as the blueprint for the next generation of performers?
Number 6. RM, the philosophical blueprint, the unseen executive power, the lyricist who became a universe. When you talk about the DNA of BTS, you aren't just talking about a group, you're talking about a vision that was built around one single solitary pillar, Kim Namjoon. To the world, he is RM, the articulate leader with an IQ of 148 who can navigate a UN speech as easily as a stadium stage. But to the elite circle of global music producers, he is something far more complex. He is the executive architect of the group's soul. You see, being a producer isn't always about who clicks the buttons on a MIDI controller the fastest. It's about who defines the vibe, the narrative, and the frequency of a project. And Namjoon has been doing exactly that since he was a teenager in the underground hip-hop scene known as Runch Ronda. Imagine a 16-year-old kid so talented that Bang Si-hyuk, a legendary producer himself, decided to scrap an entire idol group project just to rebuild it around this one boy. That is the kind of gravity RM carries. In the recording booth, producers describe him as a one-man dictionary. He doesn't just write lyrics, he constructs worlds. Think about the Wings era, the moment BTS truly exploded internationally. While the world was dancing to the beats, the core concept was rooted in Namjoon's deep dive into Hermann Hesse's Demian. He took a 1919 classic of German literature and translated it into a modern pop masterpiece about the loss of innocence. That isn't just songwriting, that is high-level intellectual production. Producers like Jenna Andrews, the mastermind behind Butter, have gone on record saying that RM doesn't get nearly enough credit for his world-class executive production skills. She noted that while many artists just show up to sing, Namjoon is there in the trenches, adjusting the rap sections, fine-tuning the English phonetics to ensure they hit the ear perfectly, and making sure the BTS brand is felt in every syllable. He is the bridge between the Western pop machine and the Korean idol industry, a role that requires a superhuman level of technical and cultural awareness. But what's truly fascinating is RM's own humility regarding his technical production. He has openly admitted in interviews that while he is a master of the top line and lyrical concept, he often yields to Suga when it comes to the raw speed of beat making. He once famously said that it might take him a month to finish a song that Suga could finish in a day. But don't let that fool you. This slowness is actually a sign of his meticulous, almost painful attention to detail. Every song he touches, from Spring Day to Fake Love, is filtered through a lens of existential reflection. Spring Day itself, often cited as the greatest K-pop song of all time, was born from a melody he hummed to himself while walking along the Han River, thinking about friends he missed. He understands that music is a frequency of the heart before it's a digital file on a computer. With over 230 KOMCA credits to his name, he is currently the youngest and most credited artist in the history of the Korea Music Copyright Association. Think about that for a second. 230 songs. That means he has contributed to the writing or production of nearly every single piece of the BTS discography, yet he remains the quiet force behind the scenes.
His solo works, Mono and Indigo, were produced with a painter's touch, focusing on the textures of sound, the crackle of rain, the hum of a city, the warmth of an acoustic guitar. He treats music as indigo, a color between the blue of the sky and the black of the night, a transition space that he occupies perfectly. In his most recent 2024-2025 projects like Right Place, Wrong Person, he pushed the boundaries even further, diving into experimental alt-rock and indie synth sounds that confused some but left critics absolutely breathless. Producers who worked on that album described him as a ferociously curious, someone who would rather break a song than make it safe. He is the member who ensures that BTS never becomes a factory product. He is the guardian of their authenticity. He is the person who asks, "Why are we singing this? What does it mean for the world?" If Jin is the emotional glue, RM is the intellectual skeleton. He provides the structure that allows the other members to fly. But as we move up this list, we start to encounter members who aren't just architects. They are the literal machines of production, men who live and breathe inside the software, creating the very air the group breathes. RM is the brain, but who is the heart of the studio? Who is the one who can turn a heartbreak into a chart-topping beat within less than 24 hours? The gap between number 6 and number 5 is a gap of technical obsession, and the next name on our list is someone who quite literally changed the way the world hears the BTS sound. Are you ready to step into the lab where the real magic happens? Number 5. The baritone's soul, the atmospheric alchemist, the jazz-infused visionary. When you walk into the control room of a high-end recording studio, the air is usually filled with the sound of bright, high-pitched tenors and the sharp snap of modern pop drums. But then Kim Taehyung walks in, and the entire frequency of the room shifts towards something deeper, darker, and infinitely more soulful. To the world, he is V, the man with the most handsome face in the world. But to music producers and sound engineers, he is a rare, sonic anomaly whose talent lies in his ability to paint a landscape using nothing but the texture of his vocal cords. In an industry like K-pop that is almost obsessively focused on high notes and power vocals, V is a revolutionary because he commands the stage through the power of the low end. He is a natural baritone, a rarity in the idol world. But what makes producers lose their minds is his incredible range. He can dive into the cavernous depths of a growling blues singer and then, without a single crack, soar into a husky, breathy falsetto that feels like silk against skin. Producers who worked on Singularity often describe it as one of the most difficult tracks in the BTS discography to pull off, not because of the speed, but because of the restraint it requires. Taehyung doesn't just sing a note, he wears it. He understands the layover between the sound and the silence, a quality that led to his solo album being a masterpiece of jazz, lo-fi, and R&B. When he sat down to produce Blue and Gray, a track originally intended for his solo mixtape but later moved to the BE album, he showcased a level of emotional production that left seasoned veterans speechless. He used the sound of the wind, the heavy reverb of an acoustic guitar, and a minimalist piano melody to translate the feeling of burnout and depression into a physical space. This is atmospheric production, a skill that many spend decades trying to master, yet Taehyung seems to do it by instinct. Producers like Iris Stevenson, the legendary choir director who mentored him during American Hustle life, saw this potential years ago, noting that his voice has a soulful quality that cannot be taught. It's an ancient sound, something that feels like it belongs in a smoky jazz club in 1940s New Orleans rather than a 2025 stadium tour. But don't mistake his soulful vibe for a lack of technicality. His scat singing in Stigma and the way he hits a high D-sharp falsetto while maintaining a rich vibrato is a feat of vocal acrobatics that most tenors find impossible. In the studio, he is known for being a one-take wonder when it comes to the feeling of a song, often preferring the raw, unedited takes over the polished ones because he values the truth of the moment. This philosophy is exactly why producers love him. He brings an analog soul to a digital world. He is the member who taught the industry that sexy isn't about how high you can scream, but how deep you can whisper. When he worked with Min Hee-jin for his solo debut, the world saw a producer-artist synergy that focused on vibe over charts, yet he topped the charts anyway, proving that his artistic vision is globally resonant. He is the vibe setter of BTS, the one who provides the contrast and the shadow that makes the light of the other members shine even brighter. If you look at the credits of Sweet Night or Christmas Tree, you see a man who understands how to produce music that functions like a warm embrace, using slow tempo structures to create an intimacy that is almost voyeuristic. He doesn't want you to just listen, he wants you to feel the room he was sitting in when he recorded it. Producers have noted that his microphone technique is incredibly advanced. He knows exactly how to move closer to the condenser to capture the gravel in his voice, or pull back to let the air take over. He is a master of phrasing, often choosing to delay a syllable by a fraction of a second to create a laid-back jazz feel that adds a layer of sophistication to BTS's more complex pop tracks. He is the bridge between the idol world and the world of high art, a visionary who treats every song like a painting, selecting colors and textures with a precision that borders on the obsessive. In the layover era, he stripped away the idol artifice entirely, presenting a raw, unfiltered version of himself that was produced with such intentionality that it felt like a manifesto for the future of his career. He is the member who proves that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is slow down and let the world catch up to your frequency. As we climb higher on this list, we move from the soul of the music into the engine of the music. The members who don't just feel the vibe, but actually build the digital walls and the rhythmic foundations of the global BTS sound. Taehyung has given us the atmosphere, but who is the one who provides the heartbeat? Who is the member who can take these raw emotions and turn them into a mechanical, rhythmic force that shakes the earth? We are entering the top 4, and the technical skill level is about to reach a point that even the world's most famous DJs find intimidating. Are you ready to meet the rhythmic genius who has been hiding in sight and plain?
Number 4. J-Hope, the rhythmic architect of movement, the perfectionist of the pocket, the sonic visionary who defies the box. When you enter the high-stakes world of music production, there's a technical term that distinguishes the good from the legendary: the pocket. It's that invisible rhythmic sweet spot where the beat, the melody, and the performance align so perfectly that the listener's body moves before their brain even processes the sound. And in the global landscape of BTS, Jungkook is the undisputed master of this domain. To the uninitiated, J-Hope is the sunshine of the group, the dance leader with an infectious smile. But to the elite producers who have sat across from him in the studio, he is a technical terror, a man whose understanding of rhythm is so precise it borders on the supernatural. You have to understand that J-Hope didn't start his journey as a rapper or a producer. He started as a street dancer in the underground crews of Gwangju, and that foundation has given him a producer's ear that is fundamentally different from anyone else in the industry. While others listen for melody or lyrics, Hoseok listens for the physicality of sound. Producers like P-Dog and Brass Tracks have noted that J-Hope's demos are often the most rhythmically complex, filled with syncopations and ghost notes that reflect his background in popping and street dance. When he worked on his solo masterpiece Jack in the Box, he didn't just hire a producer to make beats. He dove into the history of 90s boom hop, old school rock, and grunge, deconstructing the very idea of what a K-pop solo should sound like. He took the box the world had put him in, the bright, cheerful idol, and metaphorically set it on fire with arson and more, tracks that producers describe as having a raw, visceral grit that requires a deep understanding of sound engineering and frequency manipulation. In the studio, J-Hope is known for his surgical approach to recording. Unlike many artists who rely on post-production to fix their timing, Hoseok's natural internal clock is so accurate that engineers often find his raw takes need almost no rhythmic correction, a feat that is nearly unheard of in modern pop. He treats his voice as a percussive instrument, using staccato deliveries and dynamic shifts to create a sense of motion even in a static audio file. Think about Dis-Ease, a track he wrote and produced during the pandemic.
He took the concept of sickness and translated it into a funky, old-school hip-hop groove that felt both nostalgic and futuristic. Producers have revealed that he is obsessed with layering, often spending hours recording dozens of vocal ad-libs, not just for harmony, but to create textures that act like a percussion section. By 2025, with over 150 Comca credits to his name, he has solidified himself as a triple-threat powerhouse who can write, produce, and choreograph an entire global stadium tour, a feat he recently showcased in his Hope on the Stage world tour. Producers who worked on his 2025 singles, like Sweet Dreams featuring Miguel and Mona Lisa, were reportedly stunned by his ability to bridge the gap between Korean hip-hop and Western R&B, maintaining a flow that feels organic in any language. He is the member who ensures that BTS's music isn't just something you hear, but something you feel in your bones. He is the pulse of the group. But as we move into the top 3, we are leaving the realm of rhythm and entering the realm of the sonic geniuses. The members who don't just produce songs, they produce entire cultural shifts. We are approaching the final 3, where the line between artist and god-tier producer becomes almost invisible. Who is the one that the world's biggest Western artists are lining up to collaborate with? Who is the member whose Midas touch can turn a simple piano melody into a global anthem of healing? The top 3 is a different beast entirely. Are you ready to witness the power of the Triple Crown?
Number 3, Jimin, the high-frequency visionary, the perfectionist of the ethereal, the global standard of performance art. When you step into the sacred space of a professional mixing studio, there is a specific kind of silence that happens when a producer pulls up the vocal stems of Park Jimin, because what they see on the monitor isn't just a sound wave, it's a living, breathing piece of high-frequency art that defies the standard laws of pop production. For years, the world knew him as the modern dance prodigy with the killing part in every BTS performance. But in 2024 and 2025, the industry had to completely rewrite the manual on him, because Jimin didn't just release music, he mastered the psychology of sound. Producers like P-Dog and the legendary Ryan Tedder have openly marveled at how Jimin has evolved from a vocalist into a conceptual architect who understands exactly how to manipulate the listener's nervous system. Think about the era of Face and Muse. This wasn't just a solo debut, it was a revolution. When Like Crazy hit #1 on the Billboard Hot 100, making him the first Korean solo artist in history to achieve that feat, it wasn't just because of the catchy synth-pop beat, it was because of the production narrative Jimin built into the song. Producers who worked on his production diary documentary revealed that he is a technical obsessive who will spend 48 hours straight in the booth just to find the right texture for a single word. He doesn't just sing, he layers his own voice into a literal choir of ghosts, creating an ethereal frequency that makes the listener feel like they are floating in a dream and drowning in reality at the exact same time. This is what elite producers call the Jimin effect, a vocal tone so unique that it is impossible to replicate with any software or AI. He has a natural compressor in his throat that allows him to hit those piercingly high notes in Set Me Free Part 2, while maintaining a grit and a raw power that feels like a punch to the chest. In the studio, he is known for his vocal stacking, where he creates dozens of tiny, whispered harmonies that you can't consciously hear, but your brain feels them as a physical weight. By 2025, his title track, Who, from the album Muse, had spent a record-breaking 69 weeks at the top of the Spotify Korea charts, not because of luck, but because Jimin has cracked the code of emotional frequency. He treats a song like a three-dimensional sculpture. He knows that a slight breath at the end of a sentence can convey more pain than 1,000 screamed lyrics. Producers have often said that Jimin doesn't just perform a song, he is the song. He consumes the beat until there is no separation between the music and his physical body. In 2025, as he reached the unprecedented milestone of ranking #1 on the Spotify Korea Weekly Top Artist chart for 120 consecutive weeks, the world finally understood what the producers already knew. Park Jimin is the global standard. He is the person who redefined the high note from a technical display into an emotional emergency.
He is the only artist who can make a stadium of 50,000 people feel like they are in a private, intimate conversation with him. As we move into the top 2, the stakes are getting impossibly high. We are entering the territory of the golden machines and the genius architects who don't just participate in the music industry, they own the very blueprints. If Jimin is the ethereal high frequency, who is the one who provides the unlimited power? Who is the member who can walk into any studio in the world and master any instrument, any genre, and any technical software in a matter of minutes? We are at the final 2 steps of the mountain. Are you ready for the golden revolution? Number 2. Jungkook, the golden standard of global pop, the infinite technical marvel, the one-take wonder who conquered the world. When you step into the world's most prestigious recording studios, places like Atlantic Records in New York or the high-tech hubs of Los Angeles, there is a specific name that causes even the most cynical Grammy-winning producers to pause and speak with a tone of genuine reverence. And that name is Jungkook. To the general public, he is the golden maknae, the youngest member of BTS, who seems to be naturally good at everything he touches. But to the architects of global sound, Jungkook is a biological phenomenon in the music industry. We are talking about a man who has quite literally become the blueprint of the modern pop star, a title he didn't just earn through charm, but through a level of technical mastery that is so consistent it's almost frightening. Producers like Andrew Watt and Circuit, the masterminds behind his record-breaking solo debut Golden, have gone on record describing the experience of recording Jungkook as working with a machine that has a human soul. Imagine a vocalist who can walk into a booth after a grueling 15-hour flight, stand in front of a 6-figure microphone, and deliver a perfect take on the very first try. This isn't just luck, it is the result of a decade of obsessive self-calibration. In the studio, Jungkook is known for his vocal doubling ability, a technique where a singer records the same line twice to create a fuller sound. For most artists, this is a nightmare of editing and timing, but for Jungkook, his internal clock and pitch are so precise that his 2 separate takes often align with a 99.9% accuracy, creating a natural chorus effect that sounds like $1 million before any effects are even added. Think back to the 7 and Standing Next to You era of 2023 through 2025. This was the moment Jungkook didn't just join the ranks of pop royalty, he claimed the throne. Producers have marveled at how he handles phrasing and diction in a language that isn't his first, yet he manages to deliver English lyrics with a pop sensibility that rivals legends like Michael Jackson or Justin Timberlake. He doesn't just sing the words, he understands the rhythmic syncopation of the consonants. When he recorded Standing Next to You, he insisted on capturing the raw, James Brown-esque grit in his voice, proving that his technical range isn't limited to smooth R&B, but extends into the high-octane energy of stadium rock. But what truly makes producers rank him this high is his role as a vocal director. Many people don't realize that Jungkook often directs his own vocal sessions, deciding where to add a breathy ad-lib or a sharp staccato note to make the track pop. He has an intuitive understanding of commercial frequency. He knows exactly what sound will make a person stop scrolling and listen. His solo album, Golden, wasn't just a collection of hits, it was a technical showcase of every possible vocal style, from the vulnerable, stripped-back balladry of Hate You to the aggressive, bass-heavy energy of 3D. Engineers who have worked on BTS's group tracks often point out that Jungkook is the foundation. He provides the main vocal line that the other 6 members build upon. He is the one who stays in the studio until 4 a.m., not because he hasn't hit the note, but because he wants to find a different color for the second verse. His work ethic is legendary. He is the type of artist who will record a song 50 times, and when the producer says the first one was perfect, Jungkook will reply, "But I can make the 51st one more emotional." By 2025, his influence has reached a point where the Jungkook style, that mixture of breathy falsetto, rapid-fire rhythmic delivery, and crystal-clear high notes, has become the goal for every new trainee in the industry. He is the only artist who can perform a high-intensity dance routine that would leave an Olympic athlete gasping for air, while simultaneously maintaining a vocal stability that sounds like a studio recording. This is the all-rounder peak. He is the golden bridge between the K-pop system and the Western mainstream, a bridge built on a foundation of pure, unadulterated talent and a refusal to be anything less than the best. When he released his 2025 Live from Seoul concert film, producers were stunned to see that his live vocals were actually better than the studio versions, showcasing a dynamic control that few humans possess. He treats his vocal cords like a finely tuned instrument, practicing breath management techniques that allow him to sustain power for a 3-hour show without a single flat note. He is the personification of perfectionism. But if this level of absolute, world-dominating golden talent is only number 2, it begs a question that should send shivers down your spine. Who could possibly be number 1? Who is the member whose talent is so profound, so deeply rooted in the very fabric of the music itself, that they don't just perform the hits, they are the reason the hits exist? We are at the final summit, the position that changes everything you thought you knew about music production. Are you ready to meet the godfather of the BTS sound, the one person that the producers fear and admire more than anyone else?
Number 1, Suga, the godfather of the Genius Lab, the sonic prophet of a generation, the architect of the bulletproof soul. When you walk into the quietest corridor of the Hive building, past the flash and the glamour of the practice rooms, you'll find a door with a simple sign that has become a legend in the global music industry: Genius Lab. Inside that room, amidst the glow of multiple monitors and the hum of high-end analog gear, sits Min Yoongi, a man whose talent is so profound, so technically clinical, and yet so emotionally raw that he doesn't just rank at the top of this list, he redefined the list itself. To the world, he is Suga, or the fierce August D, the rapper with the tongue technology that can move at speeds that defy human vocal physics, but to the world's elite music producers, he is the maestro of the shadows. You have to understand the sheer weight of his journey to grasp why he is number 1. While others were being trained in the idol system, a teenage Yoongi was working part-time in a recording studio in Daegu, not just to make music, but to survive, often choosing between a bus ride home and a bowl of noodles. He learned the art of MIDI, the science of frequencies, and the architecture of a beat when he was barely a man, and that survivalist approach to production is what gives his music a grit that can't be manufactured in a corporate office. When he joined Big Hit, he didn't join to be a dancer or a visual, he joined as a producer. He is the only member who can look a legendary producer like P-Dog or even Bang Shi-hyuk in the eye and debate the specific compression of a drum kick or the reverb tail of a synth, because he knows the software better than the people who built it. Producers across the globe, including Emmy winner Frankie Biggs, who spoke in 2025 about Yoongi's maniacal obsession, describe him as a biological production machine. We're talking about a man who has over 168 co-MKA credits as of 2025, a catalog that isn't just filled with BTS hits, but with global anthems that have transformed the careers of other icons. Think about the Suga touch. When he produced Wine for Suran, she won her first major awards. When he produced 8 for IU, it became a generational masterpiece of healing. When he collaborated with Psy for That That, he took a veteran legend and catapulted him back to the top of the global charts with a beat so infectious it became a cultural reset. And let's talk about technicality. Producers have noted that Yoongi's ear is so sensitive that he can hear a single out-of-tune frequency in a 100-track arrangement that others would miss. He treats sound like a physical material. He carves it, stretches it, and sometimes destroys it just to see what's underneath. His work as August D, specifically the D-Day trilogy, is a masterclass in cinematic hip-hop. He doesn't just make songs, he builds sonic landscapes. In Daechita, he combined traditional Korean pansori and military instruments with aggressive modern trap beats, a fusion so daring that musicologists and producers are still studying it in 2025 as the gold standard for cultural production.
But the reason he is number one isn't just because he can navigate a mixing board, it's because he understands the human frequency. Suga is the member who takes the group's most painful, unspoken truths and turns them into something beautiful. He is the one who stayed up for days to finish Tomorrow, a song written when BTS's future was uncertain, creating a melody that has become the anthem of hope for millions. In the studio, he is known as the one-take king, not because he's lucky, but because he has already performed the song 1,000 times in his head before he even steps to the mic. His piano skills, which he showcased in the hauntingly beautiful First Love and later in his 2024-2025 live sessions, are a reminder that beneath the digital genius is a classical musician's soul. He understands that a piano note is just as powerful as a 21st century sub-bass. During his record-breaking D-Day World Tour, the highest-grossing tour by any Asian solo rapper in history, producers were left in awe of how he managed the sound design of the entire show. He didn't just perform, he directed the literal air in the stadium. He used silence as an instrument, knowing exactly when to let the crowd's breath become part of the track. By December 2025, Min Yoongi has achieved a status that few in the history of music ever reach. He has become a producer of producers. He is the person Western labels call when they want a track that feels authentic but sounds like the future. He has collaborated with legends like Ryuichi Sakamoto and Coldplay, proving that his musical language transcends genre and age. Producers have revealed that in his private sessions, he is ferociously efficient, often finishing a complete arrangement in less than 3 hours that would take a full team of engineers a week to finalize. He is the engine that kept BTS running through the darkest times, the one who turned their blood, sweat, and tears into a literal global empire. He is the tsundere producer, quiet, observant, and seemingly cold, but the music he produces is the warmest, most vital part of the BTS legacy. He doesn't want the spotlight, he wants the truth. And in 2025, that truth is undeniable. Without the sonic blueprint of Min Yoongi, the world would not know the BTS we love today. He is the man who proved that you can come from nothing and build a universe out of ones and zeros and a heart that refuses to stop beating. He is the number one for a reason, because while others play the game, Min Yoongi is the one who wrote the rules. We have reached the summit of this journey, from the silver voice of Jin to the absolute production mastery of Suga. These 7 men didn't just become famous, they became the architects of a new world order in music. Each member holds a piece of the puzzle, but together they are an unstoppable force of nature. So, there you have it, the definitive, producer-verified breakdown of the 7 creative titans who didn't just climb the mountain of global music, but completely rebuilt the peak in their own image, proving once and for all that the phenomenon of BTS was never a stroke of luck, but a meticulously crafted explosion of technical brilliance and raw, unfiltered human soul. As we stand here in late 2025, looking back at the monumental journey from Jin's crystalline stability to Suga's god-tier production mastery, we realize that we haven't just been witnessing the rise of a boy band, but the evolution of 7 individual industries that, when combined, create a frequency so powerful it has altered the very DNA of modern pop culture. It is a rare, almost impossible alignment of stars, where the silver voice provides the emotional anchor, the philosophical leader builds the intellectual framework, the baritone soul adds the atmospheric depth, the rhythmic architect ensures the heartbeat never falters, the ethereal high frequency pushes the boundaries of performance art, the golden standard sets the bar for technical perfection, and the genius lab architect weaves it all into a legacy that will be studied for decades to come. Producers from Seoul to Stockholm and from London to Los Angeles all agree on one thing: there is no weak link in this chain, only a diverse spectrum of genius where each member's specific frequency fills a void that no one else in the world could possibly occupy. Think about the sheer statistical improbability of these 7 specific talents finding each other in a small studio in Nanhyandong all those years ago. It is a narrative that feels scripted by the gods of music themselves, yet it was fueled by a level of grit, sweat, and blood, sweat, and tears that most humans would find unfathomable.
By 2025, the Chapter 2 solo era has proven that these men are not just cogs in a machine, but independent powerhouses who chose to come back together because they understood that while they are giants on their own, together they are an unstoppable force of nature that transcends language, borders, and the very concept of time. The industry has been forced to evolve because of them, shifting away from manufactured perfection and moving toward the raw, handmade authenticity that Min Yoongi and Kim Namjoon pioneered in the early days of the Genius Lab and Mon Studio. As we reflect on this ranking, we must ask ourselves, what is the true definition of talent in an era of AI and digital manipulation? Is it the ability to hit a perfect note, or is it the courage to let your voice crack with the weight of a generation's pain? Is it the speed of a rap verse, or the wisdom to know when to let the silence speak? The members of BTS have answered these questions not with words, but with a discography that serves as a masterclass in artistic integrity, showing the world that the most technical thing an artist can do is to remain human in a world that demands they be idols. As we close this chapter of our deep dive, the echoes of their voices from the deepest baritone to the highest falsetto remain as a reminder that music is the only universal language that can bridge the gap between 7 billion souls, and no one speaks that language more fluently than the 7 men we've discussed today. Their journey doesn't end here at number 1. It continues into a future where they are no longer just chasing records, but setting the standard for what it means to be an artist in the 21st century, leaving us all to wonder, now that they have conquered the world, what galaxy will they set their sights on next? The BTS sound is no longer just a genre, it is a movement, a philosophy, and a testament to the power of 7 individuals who dared to believe that their music could save the world, and then went out and actually did it. So, as you look back at this list, which member's journey resonates with your own frequency the most? Who is the producer of your own life's soundtrack? As the lights dim on this ranking, the music of the Genius Lab continues to play, a low hum of infinite possibility that reminds us all that the best is yet to come, and the revolution has only just begun. Are you ready to follow them into the next era, or will you stay behind in the silence? The choice is yours, but remember, in the world of BTS, 7 minus 1 equals 0, and the magic only works when all the frequencies align.